The Galactic Council had rules about everything. Rules about trade routes, rules about diplomatic protocols, and most importantly, rules about the Draconis Majestus, the ancient dragon-like creatures that predated most civilizations in the known universe. Rule number 1, never interfere with dragon affairs. Rule number 2, never under any circumstances touch a dragon hatchling. Thomas Webb didn't know about those rules. He was just a farmer on the frontier colony of New Saskatchewan, trying to coax wheat from alien soil. It was during his morning inspection of the eastern fields when he heard it, a sound like wind chimes mixed with distressed chirping. Following the noise to an abandoned mining pit at the edge of his property, Thomas discovered something that would change the course of galactic history. 17 dragon hatchlings, each no bigger than a house cat, were crammed into a metal cage designed for 5. Their iridescent scales were dull with dehydration, and their wings, magnificent even in infancy, were bent at unnatural angles. The cage was locked with a Zentari smuggling seal. Thomas had seen enough suffering livestock in his life to recognize agony when he saw it. He didn't hesitate. Using a plasma cutter from his barn, he sliced through the lock. The hatchlings tumbled out in a cascade of scales and desperate squeaks. Thomas caught them in his arms, their small bodies trembling. They were cold, too cold. Dragons were supposed to radiate heat even as infants, but these creatures felt like ice. "All right, little ones," Thomas muttered, gathering them carefully. "Let's get you somewhere warm." By the time the Galactic Council's enforcement ship arrived 3 days later, Thomas had converted his entire barn into a dragon nursery. Heat lamps glowed in every corner. The hatchlings, now cleaned and fed with a mixture of raw minerals and protein supplements Thomas had improvised, were already showing signs of recovery. Their scales gleamed and small puffs of smoke occasionally escaped their nostrils. Commander Zeltthor of the Council Guard stood in the barn doorway, his 4 eyes wide with disbelief. Behind him, 3 Draconis Majestus adults, each the size of a small spacecraft, landed in the field, causing the ground to shake. "Human," Zeltthor's translator crackled. "You have committed a grave offense. Touching dragon young is punishable by planetary sanctions. You have..." The largest dragon, her scales the color of molten gold, pushed past the commander. She moved with fluid grace despite her massive size, lowering her ancient head to peer into the barn, her eyes, older than human civilization, fixed on Thomas. Then she did something that made Zeltthor's translator malfunction with confused static. She bowed. "Impossible," Zeltthor whispered. The dragon spoke, her voice resonating in every being's mind. "This human saved my grandchildren." "Our children. He broke your laws, yes. But he followed a higher law, the law of compassion." Thomas, still holding a hatchling that had fallen asleep in his arms, shrugged. "They were suffering. What was I supposed to do? Leave them?" "Yes," Zeltthor exploded. "That is exactly what you were supposed to do. Dragons are ancient, powerful, and above our interference." "I know the speech," the golden dragon interrupted, her mental voice sharp. "I helped write those laws millennia ago. They were meant to protect dragons from being used as weapons, from being enslaved. They were never meant to prevent acts of mercy." She turned her massive head back to Thomas. "My name is Aurelis, Keeper of the Flame, Elder of the 3rd Constellation. These hatchlings were stolen by smugglers who intended to sell them to arena fighters. They would have died in that cage within hours. You humans saw suffering and acted without thought of consequence or reward. This is rare in the galaxy." Thomas scratched the sleeping hatchling's head gently. "Ma'am, Elder, back on Earth we had a saying. The only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good people to do nothing. These little ones needed help. Simple as that." Aurelis's laugh echoed across the mental plane like thunder wrapped in warmth. "Simple," he says. "Simple." She looked at the other adult dragons, who nodded in agreement. "Human Thomas Webb, you have done what no species has done in 3,000 years. You have earned the gratitude of dragonkind." "I don't need gratitude," Thomas said. "I just want to make sure they're okay." "They will be more than okay," Aurelis assured him. "But there is a problem. Dragon hatchlings imprint on their rescuer. These 17 now see you as their parent. By our law and custom, they are yours to raise until they reach maturity, approximately 20 of your years." Thomas looked down at the barn full of dragon hatchlings, then at his modest farm, then back at the enormous dragon. "I'm going to need a bigger barn." Zeltthor was already backing toward his ship. I'm filing a report that says I found nothing. I was never here. This never happened. Wise, Aurelius said approvingly. 3 weeks later, New Saskatchewan had become the most protected colony in human space. 17 dragon hatchlings played in the fields, learning to fly under Thomas's watchful eye. The Golden Elder visited daily, teaching Thomas the ancient ways of dragon rearing. The Galactic Council quietly amended their laws. Rule number 3 now read, except in cases of humanitarian intervention, where compassion supersedes protocol. They called it the Webb Clause. Thomas called it common sense. And in the barn, 17 hatchlings called him Dad.